look for an out at some point.
Okay, cool.
And then just call scene. And then I like to have a conversation afterwards about like, hey, what brought you, how'd you get into improv? I don't really tend to like talk about the scene. You know, I mean, we could, but I don't like to like dissect it or anything. You know, I like to more talk about you and like how you got involved.
Yeah, I'm very happy to do that.
I'm so excited. This has
Yeah, I
been
am
great.
too.
I'm
I've not really been doing much improv recently. I've mainly been teaching, and so I've not actually been doing a lot of performing. So it's really nice to like perform with someone who's like considerably more experienced than me, because like I teach in a group, and I've kind of brought all the theory, and like I've read all the books, and I'm like teaching everyone there.
Oh wow. How did you get involved in teaching? Is that something you always wanted to do?
Like I mean, because I only started teaching improv like about a year after I started doing it.
Perfect.
But especially with because I teach with a university group, like it's like a university society. Um, I've got the most experience, therefore I have to teach. But it's really good fun. Like I absolutely love teaching. It's just the like and like teaching sort of comedy, like normal improv is what is like I'm trying to get into applied improv now because of the effect of just doing like comedy improv with people and teaching it well and teaching it properly and like teaching people to not be competitive and to like look out for each other. And seeing the effect it has on people's confidence, like and the effect it had on my confidence when I started learning, it's just amazing.
It's huge, right?
Mm.
I mean, there are so many uses that help people personally, professionally, that aren't just like stage performance stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm sort of I'm putting together a business plan. If I want to be an applied improv freelancer.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you need any yeah, if you have any questions or anything, I've been doing some like corporate improv type stuff for a while. So if I can help in any way, just let me know.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. We have one, two, okay. So pick a number between 1 and 51.
Okay. 23.
Ooh, 23. Let's see. Now, is there a reason for 23 or did it just strike you and you're like, I'm gonna pick that?
Yeah, it was just I was just chose a number. No special like significance for it.
12, 14, 16, 18, 20. 23 is the side note, the number of a guy who used to play basketball in my hometown where I grew up. And so like that's always been kind of a special number to me. Also a baseball player too. So like I love that you chose that number. Our suggestion comes from Jennifer, and it is a stash stash of coins. Stash of coins.
Stash of coins.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just got back from the bank.
Yeah. How was it? You were gone a while.
Yeah, there was some traffic. But
Okay.
then when I got there, they don't suspect a thing.
You sure?
Yeah, 100%.
We're fine. Everything's in the clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it just went off without a hitch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, while I was there, they like because I went in and I was like pretending that I was just taking out some money, and I was like I just asked a couple of questions about how things have been going, and the safety of the area, and um they didn't seem to think there was a problem at all. So yeah, yeah. think we're good, buddy.
That is a huge load off my mind because, you know, you think about it and you're like, there's got to be something I'm missing. They're going to ask something. You know, you see a bunch of movies and you're always like, oh, everything was supposed to go according to plan and then it didn't. And so I thought, wow, no, there's no way that it's just going to be smooth sailing. But you just walked right in there, not a single eyebrow raised.
No,
And okay, good. Because when you were gone, I'm like, oh no. Oh
I
boy.
didn't mean to worry you. I'm so sorry.
Well, I
So you
mean,
must have been. I mean, because you're the one who stole the damn
yeah.
cash. So you're on edge. You must have been on edge for ages now, and like that didn't help you. I'm sorry.
A, thank you for your concern. B, I feel like I've worn a hole through my carpeting here because I've been pacing back and forth. And you know what? Can I be honest
God,
of
yeah.
what I thought happened?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So I was like, well, TK probably got hungry and stopped off and like got some yogurt or something. That's what I thought. I was because I'm like, don't think worst case scenario. There's nothing to worry. Like, oh, I'll be double dipping if I think worst case scenario and then it happens. So I'm like, no. TK probably just went off and got some yogurt. That's it. And so then I was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh, TK does love yogurt. And then I started thinking about how much I like yogurt. And I actually did go out and get some yogurt. I put some for you in the freezer. I don't know if you wanted it. I'm like, well, and I skipped the toppings because I'm like, I don't know how long and toppings, you know, I'm going to put in the freezer, but I'm like, does TK like banana? Because I should get banana. And I'm like, no, you know what? Just plain. I've got some bananas here. I actually went to the grocery store yesterday. Anyway, as you can tell, I got a little nervous.
You're really anxious right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm feeling better, but I was at that level of anxiety that it's really hard to come down instantly.
Okay, I think I know how to. Okay, what we did isn't wrong. Okay,
Right.
it's not wrong. Okay, and I feel like sometimes you tend to overthink things, and you might have thought, well, the two of us did take some money away from a bank. That's technically illegal. Therefore, what we did was wrong.
A lot of
What we
money.
did isn't. Yeah, it was. Yeah, quite a substantial amount of money. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's not wrong. Right? It's not wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like it's a feeling entity. It's a building. It's a
Right.
building we took it from.
Right.
We didn't take it. We didn't rob someone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what does a building do with money? I mean,
Nothing.
building's not, going out and buying some fancy lingerie for itself, is it? It's not.
That would be pretty good, though. That would be pretty. Could you imagine? I mean, I'm surprised that isn't happening now, where it's like you walk down the street, you're like, oh, look at that building's lingerie. And you know what? Somebody would probably be like, put some clothes on, building. Put some clothes on.
Yeah, preserve your modesty. Your doors are hanging open.
Your doors are wide open. Let's keep the doors and leave some to the imagination, right?
Yeah. Elon Musk will be on it in a couple of years.
Thank you. Okay, good. Because my mind started spinning and it's like, but wait a minute, like they don't care about us. They care about themselves. It's not like we're robbing. It's not like we're sticking someone up and saying, hey, give me your money. That's not it. They have a ton of it.
Yeah. And we need to get your mum out of prison.
Thank you. And this is the only way, it's funny. I was thinking about my mom the other day. I mean, I'm thinking about her. You could tell I'm thinking about her. Again, I'm in this state of anxiety. I'm trying to calm down. I was doing some visualization, some breathing techniques, TK, not really helping me right now. I feel like I'm spinning I feel like my brain is like on the dryer cycle and it's just spinning and spinning and spinning. I can't stop it right now.
Okay. Just okay. I'll do another visualization exercise with you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're on a little boat. Okay, and the boat's just gonna shunt itself out into the middle of a little lake.
Did you say, you said shunt itself, right?
Yeah, shunt.
Okay.
It's shunt.
Okay, good.
It's a UK word. Don't worry about it.
No, I get it. You know how I know the word shunt? Do you want to be honestly how I know that word?
Okay, go ahead.
You know, my little boy, he loves Thomas the Tank Engine, and they said shunting. So I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. That's all.
Oh, I didn't think they aired it here.
Yes. Oh my God. I have a whole thing of Thomas the Tank Engine. I mean, boy still loves it. He's 12 now, still loves it. But anyway, so go ahead. It's shunty. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So shunt, yeah. So boat, lake, shunt. Okay, awesome. And there's and while you're on the lake, there's a little bird is going to land on the side of the boat.
You said bird, right?
Yeah, a little bird.
Like
What
human
did you think I said?
Well, I thought you said bird, and then I'm like, I think you're talking human or not human. See, that's what I'm like. You're not talking human bird like a slang like we're in the 60s. You're saying bird like a like is it aviary? Like a bird, caw, right? I don't know if is it a crow?
Trent, I'm not 47. I wouldn't say bird in that way.
I'm so anxious. This is helping though. This is helping. Okay.
So
bird.
So boat, lake, shunt, bird. Okay, awesome. The seagull, in fact, it lands on the side of the boat and it says, Trent, what if what we did was right, we need this money.
That bird doesn't seem certain. I'm going to be honest with you. The bird seems a little uncertain of itself. Like me, it's a metaphor. Great move, TK. Keep going.
Okay. The very certain seagull says it's completely fine what we did. It was right of us to take the money out of the bank and to take it back to the house and put all of it in the bottom drawer in the kitchen cupboard. And there's no problem with what we did. There's no problem with the person that we hit with the car on the way back from getting the money. That was fine. Oh God, this is just falling apart. This is just falling apart.
No, it's helping. It's helping. Even though it's falling apart, it's helping me.
I think your anxiety is transferring to me. I think.
No, I know. I should just go I should go give myself up. I should just go. I'm gonna crack.
Right, no. Because if you give yourself up, then you're giving me up at the same time. All right, and I'm not gonna let that happen.
What did I do? I brought you into this. My mom said, you know what? I'm not gonna get my mom out of prison. I'm gonna be in prison with my mom.
If we don't get her out of prison, then we're either going to get sent to prison or we're going to get shot by some of your mum's associates. Okay.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay. So this is the path of least harm, least resistance, least us getting shot.
I feel better.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Is there a chance I'm going to get shot?
No. No. Probably not.
No.
When I say probably, I'm speaking scientifically. So when you say something's probable, it means that's like the highest. You're talking about the most likely thing to happen. The most likely thing to happen is for us to not get shot. There's a small chance. I don't want to lie to you. There's a small chance of us getting shot, but that's by the by. It's
Yeah. Okay.
They're not going to shoot me anyway. No. Like, I mean, if they won't shoot me, they won't shoot you. All right. I'm a funny Brit. All right. They love Yeah. Americans love this sort of stuff, don't they?
We love guns. I'm not gonna lie. We love guns. And to be honest, there is a chance, even if we hadn't have done this, there's still going to be that chance that it had. Okay.
I mean, if we hadn't have stolen the money, there would, yes, have been a chance of us getting shot for some other reason.
There's a chance for anything to happen, right? You could get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do you want some of that yogurt? Because it's still in the freezer.
I actually would. Yeah, I think. Yes, please.
Yogurt time.
Yeah, yogurt time. Yeah.
Scene. How awesome. Oh, that was so fun.
That was really good fun.
Oh my God. Like, I would crack If I was ever involved in a crime like a robbery, I'm the last person you want involved because I don't think I could keep it together. I think I would instantly crack. I'd be like, you're on to me right away. Just going down. I'm like, I'm done.
Okay, well, I'll make sure to not do any crimes with you then, Jane.
Oh my God, have you done crime? Can you?
No, I'm not. No, I'm just saying that if I hypothetically did crime, I would not do it with you.
No, thank you. That's a good call. Have you seen those heist movies where it's like we need a demolitions person and we need like a safe cracker, a person of disguise? Have you seen those types of movies?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What would you be? Would you be like, I'm the mastermind? I keep thinking like, what would I be in those movies? I don't think I'd be a master of disguise because I don't think I have a tongue for dialects or anything like that. Would you be like, do you think you'd be like the person with the plan? Like who do you think
Okay.
would be in the crew?
I'm trying to think of like crime adjacent stuff that I've done that would like align me with one of these, crime personality types and the MBTI crime, whatever we're doing here. Like I'm quite good. I mean, because I'm quite good at bullshitting, I suppose. I think I'd probably be the person who distracts everyone by talking to them and like coming up with a story, kind of like the character I just played.
Yeah.
I mean, the most. I'm trying to think if if I've ever stolen anything from a shop. I don't think I have. I don't think I've even done it accidentally.
Oh, I did.
I stole a Kinder Egg from a shop once, and then my mum noticed and told me to put it back. That's it.
I was a young kid. I was like 13 or 14. I didn't have a job. You're a kid. And then for Christmas one year, there was a 2 or 3 month stretch when I was a kid, 14-ish, 13, 14, that I hung out with like the bad influence of the neighborhood. And I was like, oh, I'm hanging out with the bad influence. And we stole Trivial Pursuit games and it had just come out. So they were like $50. And I like for Christmas gave my family all these games and they're like, wait a minute, you have no job. How did you get 4 Trivial Pursuit? That's $200. And this was, back in the 80s. So it was like,
oh my God.
so I had to then make a plan on the spot of how I got these games. Like I didn't think it through. I was like, this will be a great gift. And everyone's like, wait a minute, how did you get these? These are the hot new item for Christmas. So that was my one stretch where I was a thief, and I would go into a store. I went into a store in the mall, and my bad influence friend was the lookout, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna put this in my coat." So we're walking out, got these giant board games under each arm.
Oh my God! That's how on earth did you not get caught? That's ridiculous.
Well, this was. There weren't cameras, right? There weren't like those metal detectors.
You had bloody Trivial Pursuit like hanging out your jacket. What?
Hanging out of the jacket. Hanging out. Yeah, I'm 14. Hanging out of the jacket. My hands are to my side because I'm trying to hold it in because it's like under my armpits and it's like these giant boxes. So I've got 2 of them. I'm walking like I got no neck. Like it must have been because it was so busy that there were so many people in the store that they didn't notice. It just looking back now, I'm like, A, I should have been caught. I should have paid a consequence for it. And B, maybe there was so busy at that time that they were distracted and they couldn't see. But it was like, here I am, this young kid, and at 14 I was very short. I was a small fella at 14, so it wasn't like I'm tall now, but there I was very short. So these boxes were probably the size of my torso. They were big.
Yeah, I'm just imagining like a cube-shaped teenager just exiting a shop.
I'm a cube-shaped teenager. My bad influence friend is walking like normally, so we just didn't look. We did not look good. So I think like if I'm on some sort of like some sort of heist group or crew, I'd probably do good as like the person giving orders, but not actually executing anything. Like I can't be like the acrobat. I couldn't be the master of disguise person. I would probably have the plan and then watch everyone else execute it.
Yeah, we've got the brains, the face, and the cube.
Right? What how did you get into improv? What brought you to your first class or had you start doing shows?
Oh well, I've always been I've always been into theatre, like for as long as I can remember. And but at one point I was like, I shouldn't go into theatre because it's too risky. I'll do computer science instead. I did 6 weeks of a undergraduate computer science course. I hated it and I quit. Uh, and I came back to Nottingham, which is where my parents lives, where I live now. And I suddenly had nothing on my schedule. And normally I'm very busy, and so I just suddenly had nothing. And I'd wanted to try improv for a little while, and I'd never like found the time for it. And suddenly I did, and it was like the first thing that I did that like helped me get back on my feet after, because it was really shit. Like having to quit that course because I really thought that that was what I would be
That-
doing for the next 3 years, and then it suddenly
yeah.
all just disappeared. And then getting back into improv and getting back into theatre, like I'm now nearly at the end of my third year of my theatre degree. I handed my dissertation next week, and I'm hoping to go into applied improv as a freelancer, as I think I mentioned earlier. And so yeah, like improv, it's had a profound effect on me in a number of ways. The first way is that it's just such a loving community. It's not perfect all the time, but certainly the majority of people I've met have been very welcoming, caring people. And the art form is built on helping people and listening to people.
Yeah.
And then in the applied improv network, which is like a network of people who use applied improv for various reasons, you then have a whole community of people who are freelancers, small business owners, who then all have that attitude, and it's really refreshing
Yeah.
to see so many people helping each other out in that way. But I think another thing that I only realized in the last year or so is that improv has been really useful for me. So I came out as trans near the end of last year, and something that I realized is that improv, in comparison to theatre, I could go on stage and I didn't have to be a gender, and that was really helpful for me for a number of years, and I didn't think I realized how helpful it was until recently. And so yeah, and also teaching improv, I absolutely love teaching improv. I teach with Leeds University Union Comedy Society. I'm coaching a long form session this evening with them, which is always good fun. And yeah, just teaching people improv. It's amazing to kind of see people's confidence grow and see people become less scared. I mean, because really the way I've always taught improv is to I'm sort of in the tradition of like Spolin and Johnston, and that my main concern is to help people become less scared. Like that's my first thing that I do, and the other stuff kind of comes after that.
I mean, if you can help humans become less scared. I mean, think of if everybody had that experience and how they could apply it and what we could do, because that fear
Right.
is so huge, right? I mean, you've seen that.
Yeah, like and I was a shy kid when I was young. Like I loved doing theatre because it gave me permission to like when you do theatre, like you're allowed to speak and know that people will listen to you.
Right.
But in other contexts, I was very shy because I didn't have that kind of assurance, and like I didn't have a particularly good time at secondary school, and I also suffered from a lot of bad teachers. I've just met lots of teachers who are rubbish, and
Yes.
I would always get so cross about bad teaching, and so I really try and do it. I really, I've never been trained as a teacher, so I sometimes feel like a bit of a fraud calling myself a teacher, but I really think about how I impart knowledge and learning and stuff, and I care massively about that stuff.
What's funny is like, it seems like you've got a lot of training to be a great teacher because you know what you don't want to do. You care about people, right? You care about how people learn. You care about that. And being a teacher in improv is great because there's no right way to do it. And we're seeing that with what's happening now is like all of these buildings are no longer. So that style of whatever that building taught, while it may be effective, it may be useful, that doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. And so now we have people who are like, oh yeah, definitely. What is your opinion for you? What do you think works? How can you help people get there? So even though you haven't had any like teacher training, it sounds like it still means you've gotten training in other areas, which is going to make you a really effective teacher.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah. And you, from what I know of you, and we have mutual friends and we know each other through social media, but what I've seen and noticed of you, it's like you have an interest and you are interested in things outside of yourself. And to me, it's like, man, that's a huge thing for any teacher, is like to get outside of yourself and be interested in what's happening rather than, I think sometimes in improv for years, it's been, here's my methodology, which I've had to quantify in order to make money and commodify it. So I have to
Mm.
be, here's the one way to do it. And I think the more we can get rid of that, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah, that I think it's been actually it's kind of sucked to not been able to do lots of improv this year, partly because there's been so much online stuff, but I've just been so tired and so like it's my third year. I've got to focus on work really.
Yes, yes.
But it's probably been very good for me to, take to step away from improv for a bit and like because I've had other, doing other stuff and like because I very much was when I first started in improv, I was very much like read all the books, learn
Right.
all the things, which is very useful.
Yeah.
I would not don't regret doing that at all. But it is so valuable to go away and do stuff that's not improv.
It's not, you're right. It's valuable. It's huge. I think it should be mandatory, especially when you get in, like, you know, that early feeling of like, I love this. This is great. I'm going to read all the books. I'm going to see shows. At a certain point, you need to go, hey, I'm going to pause. I got to live at least my path was that way. I got to live my life. I'm not living my life fully. And then I can kind of readjust and come back and then have those healthy boundaries, which, I mean, for some people they can do it right away. For other people, like for me, I'm like, oh, I had to readjust a little bit and calibrate where I was. And it's like, oh, I can't just do shows every night of the week and only have friends who do shows and only see my friends when they come to shows. It's like, let me pause for a moment. It'll be here when I come back. And now I can get back into it saying, I need to have those boundaries. Like right now, I need to have most Sundays to myself, even if there are good things coming up. It's like rarely do I do anything improv related Sundays because I know, well, I got to keep one day that's like separate and I can
Mm.
devote to family or doing my own thing or whatever it is, just something to help me, and that keeps me energized for the rest of the time.
Yeah, I think there's actually something in I think Viola Spolin says this that when you improvise on stage, like that's she says something like you can't rehearse when you're like rehearsing for improv, like you're not that's not really rehearsal.
Yes.
Rehearsal for improv is doing other stuff that isn't improv.
Yes. I mean, I'm so glad you know her because I feel like for a long time she was kind of pushed to the back as this
She's
improv
but
story. And she's
yeah, I'm really sad that that's the case because just her theories on teaching and pedagogy are
yes,
so radical, and I'm sure that's never Boyd's influence.
totally,
Um,
totally.
but like she wrote uh, improvisation for the theatre in like
Yes.
the 1950s, and she's saying stuff like the students are not less important than the teacher, and that is something that even today is very radical for a lot of people, and it was in the 50 years ago,
Yeah.
more than that, and like yeah, you just read, and she's so politically aware, and she is so kind of she completely understands the political implications and dynamics
Yes.
of teaching and of improvising. It just
100%.
shocks me that she's not more talked about.
Isn't it interesting? It's like you have these people, fairly, unfair, whatever it is, labeled as like kind of these gurus in improv. And like her name is not one of the ones you hear a lot about. You hear about all these other like mystical figures, and it's like, no, without her and without Neva Boyd, who is another one where it's like, oh my goodness, not many people know about Neva's influence, especially on like you said, on teaching and the value of group play, and on Viola herself. Like we need to keep, I think what you're doing is amazing, and I think we need to just keep that their names out there and keep referring back to it, because you're right, and they were doing things at the turn of the 20th century very radical. If you, as you study their history, you're like, oh my goodness, that's 100 years ago they were doing some things, and we're circling back to it right now.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, she was a single mother. She came from an immigrant family. You know, of course, she was politically conscious. And yeah, I think people really either forget or don't understand that improv, you know, improv as we know it today, like really comes from that kind of that place of like, we want a social intervention of, you know, Neva Boyd was a sociologist, like studying child psychology. And I think it's really important to, you know, it's not just like get on stage and do jokes, you know, this is this is actually where it came from.
Yeah.
That's where we,
and bring you to the stage. Don't drop you to become part of this blob of an ensemble. Bring your dynamic, bring your point of view, bring your experience, bring your voice to the stage. And how do we make our voices sing together rather than drop that to become something like to lose all of your individuality? No, the whole point is to bring your individuality here. And then how do we make that a beautiful song?
yeah, absolutely.
If people want to connect with you, if they want to, you know, reach out to you for a class or follow things you're doing or whatever, what's the best way for them to do it?
Add me on Facebook. I'm probably, I mean, if you're another improviser, we probably have a few mutual friends anyway. Oh, it's so annoying. I'm making a website and it's not quite complete yet. So I unfortunately can't get the link to that just yet. But yeah, add me on Facebook. You know, chat to me in the improv Facebook groups and that. I do something that I do at the minute is I run tech for Zoom online classes. So I've worked with a couple of applied improvisers recently, and yeah, I'm a great techie. So do hit me up if you need someone for that.
Aren't you? Isn't it amazing now how that is another option that is definitely needed, is to be like the person who understands this technology, which a year and a half ago nobody thought twice about. Now it's like, no, it's so important.
I find Zoom tech really interesting. I don't know how much time we've got. I don't want to overrun too much.
No, take it.
But I find Zoom tech really interesting as a job, but also as a craft. Like, so one of my final year projects that I'm doing a one-man show about coming out as trans during the pandemic. And I do some cool sort of visual effects where I make it appear as if I'm on a call with myself, and I have it's really good fun. Watch out for that, because after I do that show for my university assessment, I will then do a free screening that anyone can come to.
Wow.
It's like a half-hour show. It's not too long, and it's got funny bits in it as well. It's not all sad stuff. But also like Zoom technicianing as a job, like, because it's a kind of a new thing, people don't really think of it in the same terms as you would if you were in a physical space. Like,
right.
if you were running like a big event, like you're doing a keynote, you know, you're a keynote speaker or something.
Yes.
You wouldn't speak at the event and do all your own tech,
right?
Or at the very least, you would do everything in your power to not do that.
Yes.
And people kind of forget that with Zoom tech stuff, because you've kind of got all the tech in front of you, and you've got to organize the workshop yourself normally.
Yes.
And so people really forget that, like, I've done quite a few things on Zoom that have required technicians. And like, if you have a technician doing like setting up your breakout rooms, monitoring the chat, letting people into the waiting room, it takes the pressure off immensely.
100%. There, you don't realize it, right? And I think part of it is, like you were saying, you handle this yourself, And so you're like, well, like you and well, I've done a tech thing with us. It's like, well, yeah, there's two of us. This is not, I don't have to worry about breakout rooms or timing or pulling people back or all how things are set up. Like it allows you as the artist, director, teacher to focus on that part of it and
Yeah.
not worry about that other part where it's like, no, that's why you can bring somebody else in, is let them worry about that part. And it's, I think you do one experience where you don't have that and then you're like, oh, never again.
I do. So last year I did a Dungeons and Dragons show with
Oh,
comedians and improvisers from around the UK for Leeds University Union Comedy Society. And we had I had technicians for that show, and I had 1 week where both my technicians couldn't make it. And it was so I was running the game and I was doing like music
no.
cues, and I was like having to check the stream to make sure the stream was still working. It was a nightmare. And I knew it was going to be, but like it really reminded me that you need help with this stuff.
Oh my, and how about that feeling afterwards where you're just like, okay, like you are just so filled with anxiety because during it, you're just worried about, you're heightened of your awareness of everything that needs to happen. And then it's like, oh, you forget that it's so needed and you forget those things that pop up in the moment too, where you're like, oh, wait, I got to handle it. Who's handling? Oh, shoot, it's got to be me. So juggling that, it's the same of like, if you're, like you said, you're hosting it, you're trying to interact with it, you're trying to do the tech stuff. I mean, it can become just overwhelming. And then that takes away from the overall experience. So yeah, kudos. And are you teaching a workshop on like basics of it? Is that something that you offer?
So I'm sort of in between stuff at the minute. So it's at the minute I have like several deadlines coming up for uni, so I'm not teaching just at the minute. And I haven't quite figured out when I'm going to teach again, because by the time my deadlines are done, I'll be finished with university. So I haven't quite figured out exactly what I'm doing. If you look for Leeds University Improv, then I post whenever I'm doing events with them. I post events on that page. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And then yeah, if I'm doing any other stuff, I post that on my personal Facebook page at the minute. I am working on a professional Facebook page, but it's not quite there yet.
It'll be there. It'll be there.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
And people could always just reach out to you too if they're like, hey, can I buy a half hour of your consulting time and help me get through this stuff? So like that's the easiest way for people too, is like, just reach out to folks and say like, can I get an hour of your time? And
absolutely. And I'll be doing it and I'm hoping to get my applied improv freelancing started in the next month or two. So I can run corporate workshops, or for unis and I specialize in remote teams. So if you are involved with a remote team and the communication is just not happening, the meetings are just dire, like I can help with that, because I've put in a lot of work into. I've been reading like studies and like surveys on the main problems people are having, and I've been coming up with exercises to help address those main problems that lots of companies have problems with. So yeah, I'm passionate about making remote working work better.
Well, the good thing is you're always going to have clients because it's here to stay. Remote is here to stay, and communication is always an issue.
I completely believe that. Yeah.
Oh, well, what a joy. Thank you so much for taking time out. And whether it's a virtual, in person, whatever it is, I can't wait to play again. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Jay. This has been amazing.
So great. I'll talk to you soon.
See you.